In 2029, the United States Air Force operates a space research station called Oberon, where they train chimpanzees and orangutans for dangerous exploration missions. In a mock capsule, a genetically enhanced chimp named Pericles loses control of the system and starts panicking. Fortunately, this is only a simulation, and Captain Leo Davidson calms him down with a treat. Leo returns Pericles to the lab, where another scientist shows off one of the female chimps and mentions Pericles is about to become a father. The moment is interrupted when Leo receives a video message from his friends on Earth saying they miss him. Suddenly, the lights on the station begin to flicker until they go out completely. The animals screech for several seconds, and after a few minutes, the lights return. Leo is called to the command post and learns that an electromagnetic storm is approaching the station. All digital clocks have stopped, and the system is picking up some frequency patterns. Apparently, they are all electronic communications from Earth across time, which the storm must be reflecting back. Command wants to send Pericles to investigate the storm, and Leo argues it is a waste of time, desperate to protect his friend. However, the commander reminds him that standard procedure forbids pilots without sending a monkey first to confirm it is safe. Pericles is launched in a pod and quickly enters the storm, allowing the main system to capture more readings. Leo grows worried when he notices the pod veering off course and detects a spike in Pericles' heart rate. Within seconds, they lose the pod's signal, and it disappears from radar. A scientist points out that Pericles is trained to return, but Leo panics and rushes to another pod to run some sequences. As he works, he opens a communication channel to eavesdrop on the commander's conversation and discovers they are shutting down launch operations. Leo refuses to abandon his friend, so he activates the pod and leaves the station before the others can stop him. By the time the commander realizes what is happening, he yells at Leo over the communicators, but Leo ignores him. The pod flies straight into the storm, and after some turbulence, a bright light appears. Leo spots Pericles' pod and tries to inform his crew, but the communications only emit static. Then another light flashes, and Pericles' pod vanishes into it. The light hits Leo's pod next and knocks out all its systems for a few seconds before powering them back down. He is shocked to find the pod floating outside the storm and keeps trying to contact the station without success. He tries to control the pod, but it does not respond and merely drifts aimlessly. The station crew receives a mysterious message from an old man screaming, "Help," as his station crashes. Soon, Leo's pod heads toward another bright light, and suddenly the systems start working again. To his confusion, the numbers on the clock are going haywire. Sparks shoot inside the pod as the system fails again, and it starts to descend until it crashes onto a jungle planet. The pod scrapes along the ground for miles and lands in a lake. Fortunately, it has an emergency lever that Leo pulls to eject himself. He swims out of the lake as the pod sinks to the bottom. He looks around to find a wild jungle and hears a noise that reveals Karubi and his daughter Dina, followed by a group of tribe members. They simply ignore Leo and keep running. Leo realizes the tribe members are fleeing from some armored apes, so he, terrified, decides to run too. The apes precisely lasso humans to kidnap as many as possible, even throwing small children into sacks. The chase continues for several minutes, and these apes also ride horses. Leo is hit by one of them and thrown backward. But just as he is about to be trampled by a horse, he rolls out of the way and hides in the bushes. When Dina is knocked down, Karubi distracts the apes, and they throw a net over her. Some of the humans try to fight, but the apes are stronger and easily overpower them. The group reaches the edge of a cliff with nowhere to go, so the apes capture them all and put them in a cage. General Thade arrives to supervise the operation, and Leo is shocked to hear him speak. As they retreat, they run into Colonel Adder, who kicks Leo and calls him a dirty human. The cage is dragged into the city by human slaves. All the citizens here are apes, and they insult the humans as they pass by. Leo asks where they are, but none of the humans answer. Some kids start throwing rocks at the cages, but Ari intervenes to stop them. The children call her a human lover. The cage is taken to the slave trader Limbo, who thinks these humans are not good quality, but buys them anyway. Soldiers drag the humans to the cells, and Dina and Karubi struggle to avoid being separated. But the apes are too strong, and Karubi's head is slammed against the wall. When Thade arrives, he complains about tribe members invading ape farms, and Limbo suggests hanging a human carcass as a deterrent. But Thade explains that the human rights faction will not allow it. He then buys a young human for his niece's birthday, and she is taken away on a leash. Ari watches this from afar and finds it disgusting. Afterward, Limbo and his guards begin branding the humans with a hot iron slave mark. He only manages to brand a few before Ari storms the place and knocks down the branding iron. She starts talking about human rights, and Leo takes the chance to grab the iron. When she approaches the cage to unlock it, he takes her hostage with the iron and pleads for her help. She decides to buy him and Dina, then flirts with Limbo to get a good deal. Later, Dina and Leo are delivered to Ari's house. Her father is Senator Sandar, who is not happy to see the wild humans. He tells Ari to keep them out of sight until they are domesticated. The two are forced to work in the kitchen, and Leo wonders how the apes became this way, but Dina does not understand the question. When he tries to escape, he is blocked by Krull, who sends him back to work. In the dining room, Sandar is hosting an important dinner with several distinguished military and Senate apes. Wild humans are currently outnumbering apes 4-1 and keep reproducing, so the apes need to find a way to stop them. Sterilization is mentioned, but would be extremely expensive. Ari keeps defending human rights, but whenever she tries to get her father's support, Sandar is distracted by Thade talking about self-defense. Leo pays attention to every detail as Krull instructs him on serving the meal. Before eating their prey, the apes pray to their ancient savior Samos, from whom Thade is descended. When Ari says humans also have souls, Thade knocks Leo down and looks inside his throat, ironically searching for the soul. Ari is so upset, she leaves the table. Thade follows and confesses his feelings for her, but she accuses him of only wanting her to gain her father's power. Thade furiously pushes her against the wall and reminds her he could arrest her for all the trouble she causes. He tries to leave, but some soldiers stop him, saying they have something to show him. They take him to the jungle and show him the trail of destruction left by the crashed pod, describing the fireball they saw in the sky. The soldiers swear they have not told anyone else. Thade lunges at them and kills them both quickly. In the slave cells, Leo picks the lock to escape, and Dina and Tyvel decide to go with him. They carefully sneak out and reach Limbo's house, where they free Gunnar and Burn. Gunnar is not happy to see Tyvel because the domesticated humans think they are better than the wild tribe members. But Leo stops him, and Karubi agrees to escape together. As they leave, some teenage apes spot them and screech, alerting a guard. The group starts running through several houses, scaring every ape they see. When they find the little girl in a cage, Dina rescues her too. Soon, guards are searching the city, and Leo jumps at a shadow approaching them. However, it is Ari and Krull, who quickly overpowers him. She wants to take them back because she thinks she can reason with the soldiers, but Leo convinces her to help them escape. However, the young girl would not survive such a journey, so they send her back to Ari's house. As Ari sneaks the group out of the city, Thade spots them and goes after them. Karubi tells the others to keep going and runs to fight Thade with a torch. However, Thade easily grabs him and lets Adder kill him from behind. The general orders Adder to go after the humans and kill them all, but to keep Leo alive because he wants to talk to him. Using a secret tunnel, Ari leads the group out of the city. She tries to console a crying Dina, who loses control and screeches. The humans run into the jungle, and Krull follows after ignoring Ari's warnings. He has no choice but to follow them too, unaware that someone is watching them from the shadows. Leo leads the group to the lake and tells them about his pod, but the others do not believe his story. When Leo calls them monkeys, a furious Krull attacks him and says apes are below simians on the evolutionary chain, still above humans. Leo jumps into the lake, and Krull reveals they know nothing about swimming. While looking in the pod for his bag, Dina jumps in to help him, but she gets scared when she sees two apes. However, they are just the corpses they discarded earlier. Leo swims with Dina back to the surface. He grabs his communicator from the bag and manages to get a signal from his space station, which means they must be close. Krull thinks his device is sorcery, but Leo explains it is science. Following the signal, he starts leading the group, explaining that on his planet, humans are in charge and apes are in zoos. Suddenly, Limbo attacks Gunnar, who punches him away. Burn then lands a few hits on Limbo before calling his guards. As Burn is pinned to the ground, Limbo prepares to kill him. Leo pulls a gun from his bag and shoots a tree to demonstrate its power, scaring the guards away. He forces Limbo to release Burn and prepares to kill the ape. But Ari steps in and says killing an unarmed ape would lower him to their level. Limbo starts bargaining while his foot reaches for a fallen guard's spear, but Leo shoots again to stop him. When Limbo tries to flee, the group captures and handcuffs him. Krull then grabs Leo's gun and smashes it against a rock, afraid that he might use it against him. Back in the city, Fade tells Sandar that Ari was kidnapped by humans, even though he knows Ari went willingly. He demands martial law and absolute power to eliminate all humans, and Sandar agrees. Before leaving, Fade visits his elderly father Zaius and tells him about Leo. Zaius then decides to share a secret kept only in the family. There was a time when humans were the masters and apes were the slaves. He warns that more humans will come for Leo and makes him break an ancient vase, inside which is a weapon. Zaius tells him about its power and wants his son to stop the humans before they reach the forbidden area of Kalima, because it holds the secret about their true origins. He then insults all humans and dies. As the group keeps moving, Leo explains that on Earth, apes were kept in zoos because humans destroyed all the forests. He talks about space training and uses it as proof that humans are intelligent and sensitive. Days later, they reach Kalima and find some scary scarecrows. Ari explains these things are meant to keep humans away because this is the sacred land where the first ape Samos was born. Several soldiers are camped in the area, so the group waits until nightfall to move. When two apes start arguing over a card game, Fade finally arrives and yells at them, calling the camp a disgrace before taking command. At night, the group sneaks through and steals some horses. Leo fires a flare as a distraction, and while the soldiers stare at the strange light, the group rides through the camp, starting a fire. A soldier jumps on Limbo, thinking he is a traitor, so Limbo has to push him off to keep riding. Leo grabs a torch and uses it to set more tents on fire, also hitting a soldier with it. The rest of the group reaches the river and crosses it, except for Ari, who hesitates at the water. Fade furiously throws a torch at her, making her fall off her horse. When Leo blocks him with more fire, Fade throws a chain around the leg of Leo's horse, making him fall too. Soldiers keep throwing torches. Leo runs to Ari and carries her through the water. He jumps with her on his back and swims to the other side until they finally reunite with the others. When Fade discovers the humans escaped on the soldiers' horses, he goes crazy and breaks some things before marching the entire army to Kalima. By morning, the group reaches the sacred ruins, and Leo is shocked to find his crashed space station. The entire area is destroyed, and skeletons indicate this happened thousands of years ago. Fortunately, the computer is still working, and Leo watches the logs to find out what happened. He realizes he was pushed forward in time, but the station searched for him in the present and landed on this planet when it was still uninhabited. The message the crew saw earlier was from an older Leo in the future. Samos was one of the apes from the experiments. He was actually Pericles' son. He organized a mutiny and convinced the other apes to take control of the station. Most of Leo's crew is dead, and the tribe members are the descendants of the survivors, while ape society descends from the experiments. As the group exits, they find all the tribe members surrounding them, having heard the stories of the human who fights against apes. At night, Burn explores the area and sees the ape army approaching. Leo tells the tribe members to flee, but they do not listen. Meanwhile, Ari goes to see Fade and offers herself in exchange for letting the tribe members live. However, he hates that she thinks like a human and proceeds to brand her hand with the slave mark. He then sends her back so she can die with the tribe members tomorrow. In the morning, Leo keeps checking the computer and realizes there is still plenty of power left, which gives him an idea. He convinces the other humans to hide behind the station while a small group rides ahead as bait. Soon, Fade's army arrives, and the first wave of apes attacks. The group rides back to the station as planned, but Burn accidentally falls off his horse. Leo runs to help and gets him back just in time. He then activates the station's thrusters, and the enormous flames knock down every approaching soldier in seconds. This uses up all the remaining power. The humans come out and start beating the burned apes. Adder fears the station will fire again and wants to retreat, which was Leo's plan. However, Thade refuses to give up and orders his army to attack anyway. A brutal battle begins, and the humans fight as hard as they can, but it is clear the apes have the advantage. Gunnar is grabbed by an ape and killed with a broken neck. Dina is also nearly killed, but Ari jumps on her attacker, and they kill him together. As they run to protect each other, Dina sees Ari's branded hand and finally feels sympathy for her. Meanwhile, Krull and Adder crash into each other and wrestle on the ground. Unfortunately, Adder overpowers Krull and kills him. Thade kills every human in his path until he can confront Leo, who punches him in the face. Thade furiously grabs him by the neck and punches him before throwing him to the ground. He prepares to finish him off, but the entire battlefield freezes when an explosion is heard. A light appears in the sky and slowly descends to reveal a pod with Pericles. The ape army immediately kneels because they think Pericles is the second coming of Samos. Leo grabs Pericles' bag and asks him to make the apes see reason, but Pericles runs inside the station. When Leo tries to follow, Thade tackles him. Ari jumps on Thade, who has to push her off, giving Leo a chance to run into the station. Thade follows and kicks him to the ground before beating him again. Pericles joins the fight, but is also thrown against the wall. Leo pulls a gun from Pericles' bag and opens fire, but Thade's armor protects him, and he lunges at Leo to disarm him. The gun slides into the command booth, and Thade runs to grab it, accidentally firing in the process. Leo's friends enter the station with Adder, who is horrified at the damage Thade caused to Pericles. Adder prepares to shoot Leo but closes the booth to trap him instead, the bullets merely ricocheting around him. Thade desperately orders Adder to kill Leo, but Adder reminds him that humans brought the apes here and they could live in peace. Adder finally accepts that everything he believed is a lie and refuses to help his commander. Everyone watches as Thade and Leo fight, and Thade shoots every corner of the booth, but he finally gives up when he realizes he is not accomplishing anything. Leo checks on Pericles, who is injured but still alive. The group buries all the fallen fighters, and Ari tells them not to mark the graves. That way, nobody can tell who is human and who is ape, and everyone will be honored equally. From now on, the two groups will live in harmony. Leo leaves Pericles with Ari and checks the pod's radar, which finds the storm that brought him here. Ari begs him to stay, but he cannot, so he says goodbye and kisses her. When Leo says goodbye to Dina, she also kisses him. He finally enters the pod and begins his journey through space. He crosses the storm and, after much turbulence, finally returns to the solar system. Unfortunately, the pod loses control and Leo cannot land it properly. It ends up crashing in Washington. When he steps out, he is shocked to see Thade's face on the memorial instead of Lincoln's, and even the famous quote has been altered to mention apes. Soon, the police surround him, and they are all apes too. Thade must have stolen the other pod and traveled back in time to conquer Earth. And that is Planet of the Apes,